Hello everyone, today we'll be starting with chapter 1, that is first chapter of class 11 chemistry. The name of the chapter is Some Basic Concepts of Chemistry. This chapter is also taught by the name Mole Concept in coachings, and whatever I'll be teaching you in this video would be purely sufficient for both IIT JEE, KVPY, NEET and other competitive exams. So this is your one-stop solution for all your study needs. Now let's start this chapter. We won't be directly moving to mole concept. We'll be starting from basic NCRT so that your boards are also covered. Then your IIT JEE, KVPY and NEET syllabus is also covered. I'd be telling you what were topics are only for boards, what were topics are only for IIT JEE, what were topics are only for competitive exams. So I'd be telling you all that. This is a one-stop solution for everything. Let's start with it. Now, let's start with very basic term. You all know about universe. Universe, there's nothing more than universe. So you must have heard the peculiar statement that the संसार में सब खेल तमाशा दो चीज का है. The first one is matter and the second one is energy. There's no third thing. So there are only two things in the universe, the first one being matter and the second one being energy. Now we'll be dealing with the classification and study about energy, more about in physics. In chemistry, we are mainly concerned with matter. So matter is further classified as, in NCRTs, this classification has been studied directly from matter. This universe and energy is not given. This I have stated because many students have interest, and in competitive exams, it's better to have a good understanding of the basics. So matter can be classified in two ways. The first one being physical classification, and the second one being chemical classification. I hope the both is visible. And the second one being chemical classification. So physical classification, moving on to physical classification first. Physical classification is the one which you all are familiar with based on physical states. So based on physical classification, matter can be classified as solid, liquid, and no need to say gas. You all are familiar with these states, and we'll be reading individual chapters on all these in further syllabus in class 11 and 12. So solid, liquid and gas, you all know what is solid, what is liquid and what is gas. So in 11th and 12th classes, we introduced two more states just for the point of view of IIT JEE, though they are not required in boards. The first one, plasma state and colloidal state. I'm drawing a dotted line because they're not given in NCRT and they are not for board examinations. Colloidal state, and they are taught in by very less people. So colloidal state and plasma state. Now you don't need to remember anything about these states. Just for your interest, I'm telling you that colloidal state is the state in which particles have the size 10 angstrom to 200 angstrom, and plasma state is the one that all the states of matter change into plasma state under extreme conditions of temperature and pressure. You basically need to remember solid, liquid and gas only, which you already know. Now moving on to chemical classification, which might seem a little new for you, but it's extremely easy, trust me. Let me make some space on the board. We are not dealing with classification of energy right now. Let me make some space on the board. See you. As we studied physical classification, physically matter can be classified as solid, liquid and gas in two more states just for interest. The first one being colloidal states, particle size 10 angstrom to 200 angstrom, and all states of matter change to plasma state under extreme conditions of temperature and pressure, which you don't need to remember these two. You do already only need to remember solid, liquid and gaseous state. Physical classification is over. Now moving on to chemical classification. Chemically, matter can be classified as pure substances or mixtures. Now, pure substances are the ones which have fixed ratio of masses of constituents. I'm just writing the statement now. When I'd be completing with the classification, then yeah, I'll be explaining it to you with an example, and you'd be able to understand it better at that point of time. And ratio of masses of constituents, it's not fixed in case of mixtures. I'm not writing, it's vice versa, obviously, by common sense. So pure substances are of two types. Pure substances are of two types. The first one being elements. Now elements are the ones which have which are made up of only single type of atoms. Single type of atoms means, like, you have iron. If I take iron element, then iron metal, then it is only composed of iron atoms, pure iron. So that is an element. So elements can be further classified as metals, non-metals, we don't need to remember, just I'm telling, and metalloids. This is all extra. Metals, non-metals, and metalloids. There can be no other element. Okay, either it will be metal, either it will be non-metal, or it will be metalloid. Next comes compounds. Pure substances can also be compounds, that is made up of two or more than two type of atoms in a fixed ratio. एटम्स एक से ज़्यादा हो सकते हैं, बट रेशियो फिक्स रहना चाहिए। ये बात आप लोग नोट कर लीजिएगा फिजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन प्योर सब्सटेंसेस में। नाउ कंपाउंड्स के एग्जांपल्स क्या हो सकते हैं? एग्जांपल्स कैन बी NaCl is a compound, alcohol is a compound. There can be so many examples. You all know what are compounds. Now let's move to mixtures. So mixtures